Do you believe there was a chance that Lewis or Lando would have taken the win ahead of Verstappen, or was this just destined to be, as we've seen so many times this year, another Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing victory?
Ben, at a few moments throughout the race, I did think that there was a chance Lewis or Lando could have taken the race. One of those moments was on the first turn of that first lap, when Lando took the lead from Charles Leclerc at that moment, and then the next few laps where he held on to the lead, I thought that maybe he'd be able to take it. But then, as it always happens in all of the races we've seen, the majority of them so far, Max Verstappen came back up to the front. And then there were also moments where Hamilton was in the lead, and I was thinking that, maybe he'll be able to do it as well. But it was just the usual scenario we always see of Max Verstappen making it seem like somebody else might have a chance, but then coming back to take the lead.
Yeah, I really felt it was a day where it was destined to be another Max Verstappen victory. One way or another, Max Verstappen was going to find a way to win this race. Instead of starting 60th, should have started 20th, and we might be talking about something completely different right now. But still got to give the shout out to Red Bull and the amazing car they built this year. It shows this car is nearly unbeatable. And in order for someone else to get a win, it really seems like Max Verstappen is going to have to need some type of mechanical failure that'll retire him from the race or contact on the track, because today that Red Bull's on rails again, but at least it wasn't a blowout victory like we've seen many times this season with Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Yeah, but looking at Lewis and Lando, I think they had some really great races. They did the best that they could have possibly done in this situation given the circumstances. But Verstappen, Red Bull, they just keep on dominating.
I did sense throughout the race, especially at the start, that something was a little off. With Max Verstappen starting in sixth, it's not any challenge for him to come into that first place spot. But today it seemed like it was harder for him than it usually is in the past few races that we've seen. Now, this could be due to the fact that the other cars, like the McLarens and the Ferraris and the Mercedes, are finally catching up to Red Bull's pace, or it could be because Red Bull was trying to hide, their full potential, which I don't know, maybe it would serve some sort of an advantage to them in the coming races, but considering that Max Verstappen's already the world champion for 2023, I don't see what kind of an advantage this would play for them. But I did sense throughout the race that there was something was off looking at Max Verstappen or the Red Bull, and as I mentioned, that could have been because the other teams are catching up or because Red Bull was trying to hide something.
And I guess if you're too busy stinging up the show for most of the season, got to make it interesting somehow to keep the fans tuned in until the very end, right? But in all seriousness, maybe it's this track, Circuit of America, is one of those tracks that doesn't best suit the Red Bull car. Or like you said, Isha, could just be that the other teams are finally catching up to Red Bull and pace a little too late for that. But yeah, it is a tricky question. I'm not really sure what Red Bull were doing today, whether they were only going like 80, 85%, 90% instead of 100%, or whether this track is just not 100% suitable to the car. But it was nice not to see a Red Bull runaway like we typically see.